Welcome to Twisted Truths, where betrayal meets brutal payback, and where the most unexpected twists expose what people are really capable of. This story isn't just shocking, it's personal. My name is Todd. I'm 36 years old, and I live in a modest single-story home in the suburbs of Scranton, Pennsylvania. My place isn't much, just an old brick house with a creaky porch and a garden I tend myself, but it's mine. Everything I have, I earned with my own two hands. I'm a plumber by trade. Not glamorous, not flashy, and certainly not the kind of job that earns applause at family dinners, but it's honest work. I fix things. I keep people's homes running. That's always meant something to me. But it never meant much to my family. Especially not compared to my younger brother, Landon. Landon's 31, 5 years younger and light years ahead in my parents' eyes. He's got the tailored suits, the BMW, the prestigious job as a corporate attorney downtown. He talks fast, flashes his teeth, and always seems to be performing. And my parents? They eat it up. Growing up, I was the one who mowed lawns after school to buy used jeans. Landon? He got new Jordans the day they dropped. I fixed up bikes from scrap, he got a mountain bike from Santa. I never resented him, at least, not back then. I just wanted to be seen. Not compared. Thanksgiving was always my favorite time of year. I'd bring over a pie I baked myself, toss the football with Dad in the backyard, and sit at the table beside my mom, listening to her stories about growing up on a farm in upstate New York. This year, I wanted to make it extra special. I wrapped a cozy flannel shawl for Mom and bought a vintage pocket watch for Dad. I even got a bottle of Landon's favorite aged whiskey, expensive as hell, but I figured maybe this year we could just be a family. I called my mom a few days before the holiday. Just to ask what time dinner was. I had no idea that conversation would punch a hole through everything I thought I knew. "Sweetheart," she said, her voice oddly clipped. "Maybe you should sit this one out this year." I blinked. What? Why? There was a pause. Then a sigh. Landon's bringing someone new. A girlfriend. He wants this Thanksgiving to be special. You know, proper. First impressions matter, Todd. I didn't say anything. Just let her talk. He thinks it might be better if the gathering is a little more curated. Curated? Like I was a broken exhibit in a museum they were covering with a curtain. And what am I, Mom? I asked, my voice quiet. The uncurated mess in the corner. Oh Todd, don't be like that, she rushed. It's not about you personally, it's just, your lifestyle, sometimes you come in your work boots and... I'm a plumber, Mom, I said flatly. That's who I am. I know, sweetheart. It's just... Landon wants everything to go smoothly. He's proud of this girl. She's very sophisticated. I sat there holding the phone, staring at the gift box on my coffee table. I'd wrapped each one carefully. Had been looking forward to sitting at the table, just like always. Laughing, carving turkey, telling that stupid story about the time I got my hand stuck in a drain pipe for 2 hours. Instead, I was being benched. By my own family. For what it's worth, Mom added, Landon says you just don't quite fit the vibe. Fit the vibe. I bit my tongue. Got it. Hope it's everything he wants. I hung up. Didn't say goodbye. I just sat there. The air in my living room felt heavy. Like it had turned to stone. I thought back to last Thanksgiving. Landon showed up late. Talked over everyone. Left before dessert. I'd stayed late to help clean. Fixed the leaky kitchen faucet while I was there. They didn't even notice. And now, I was a liability. I sat with that feeling for hours. Anger at first. Then silence. Then something deeper. Something I hadn't let myself feel in years. Rejection. Like I was invisible. Like I could vanish, and no one would notice. But I wasn't angry yet. That came later. It came the night I logged onto Facebook and saw the photos Landon posted. Thanksgiving dinner. Candles. Table perfectly set. Everyone dressed in formal wear. And there she was. His sophisticated new girlfriend. But the second I saw her face, my stomach dropped. Her name was Sabrina. And I knew her. Not vaguely. Not in passing. I knew her. Because 5 years ago, I loved her. I met Sabrina 5 years ago at a community volunteering event. She was smart, driven, with this sharp wit that made every conversation feel like a chess match. But she also had a warmth to her, like when she laughed, you couldn't help but laugh too. We dated for 2 years. 2 incredible years. She knew I was a plumber, and not once did she make me feel less than. In fact, she used to brag about it, how I worked with my hands, how I fixed things most people wouldn't know where to start. She was the first person who made me feel seen. Not compared, not belittled. Seen. But eventually, she said she needed more. Not more love, not more trust, she said she needed someone more, aligned with her ambition. I understood. Sort of. We parted ways, and I moved on, at least I thought I had. But now, 5 years later, there she was. At my family's table. Holding my mother's hand like they'd been best friends for years. Laughing with my father. Sitting beside my brother. Landon. My brother. My golden boy brother was now dating the woman who once told me I wasn't enough. And I wasn't even invited to watch it happen. I stared at those pictures until my eyes burned. Then I closed the laptop, walked into the garage, and sat on the cold concrete floor. The silence swallowed me. How do you describe the feeling of being erased? It wasn't just that they didn't want me there. It was that they never even considered how much it would hurt. That Landon never thought twice about dating my ex. That my mother defended it. That my father stayed silent. I was the odd piece that didn't fit the curated puzzle. I thought maybe, I'd get a message from Sabrina. A text. A heads up. Something. But days passed, and nothing came. Until one did. 3 days after Thanksgiving, I got a text from Sabrina. Hey Todd. Didn't know you'd see the photos. I didn't realize it was you until after dinner. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. What was there to say? That it was fine. That I was okay with being discarded twice, once by her, and now by my own blood. I tossed the phone on the couch and spent the next few days in silence. I didn't go out. Didn't see friends. I worked, but only just enough to keep the lights on. Then one night, I got a call from Joe, my coworker. You okay, man? You've been off lately. Just tired, I lied. Well, I don't know what's going on, he said, but don't let anyone make you feel like you don't matter. You're one of the smartest guys I know. Hell, half the guys in town come to you for investment advice and you're not even a banker. I smiled faintly. Joe didn't know the half of it. See, what no one in my family ever knew, what not even Sabrina knew, was that I'd quietly built something massive behind the scenes. 10 years ago, after a conversation with a savvy client, I started learning about the stock market. Index funds, ETFs, real estate investment trusts, you name it, I studied it. Every night after work, I'd watch tutorials, read white papers, and build spreadsheets. I saved. I invested. I reinvested. And slowly, it grew. From $5,000 to 50. From 50 to 500. From there, it snowballed. As of this year, I had over $3.1 million spread across accounts. But I never told my family. I didn't want them to love me because of numbers. I wanted them to love me because I was Todd. Turns out, they didn't love me at all. And now, the person who helped me through heartbreak, the person who promised she respected me, was dating the brother who laughed behind my back. That night, I sat alone at my dining table with a bottle of whiskey I bought for Landon, still unopened. I stared at the label, thinking about everything. I could let it go. Or I could do something I'd never done before. Stop turning the other cheek. Because they all thought I was just a plumber. Just a loser. And maybe, just maybe, it was time they saw who I really was. Not for validation. Not for revenge. But for truth. After that night, something changed in me. It wasn't just the betrayal anymore, it was the realization of just how blind I'd been. For years, I'd told myself it didn't matter. That I didn't need their approval. That I was, okay, living in the shadows of my family's praise for Landon. But it did matter. I mattered. And the truth is, I wasn't the same kid they dismissed years ago. I wasn't the brother who stayed quiet and let things slide. I wasn't the man who just fixed pipes and disappeared. I was someone who had built something real, something lasting, with discipline and patience, and no one in my family knew. But that was about to change. The spark hit when I logged into an old email I hadn't checked in months. It was an account I used years ago for investment newsletters and financial advice. Most of it was junk, but one subject line caught my eye. Invitation, Private Investment Gala, hosted by Nolan Equity Group. I blinked. Nolan Equity Group. One of the largest boutique investment firms in Pennsylvania. I had bought into one of their small startup opportunities 3 years ago, $25K into an early-stage software company. That company got acquired. My $25,000 turned into $390,000. Apparently, they were inviting select, non-traditional, investors, folks who made it big without working in suits and ties, to a high-profile networking event in downtown Philly. Black tie. Exclusive. By invitation only. At first, I laughed. Me? Black tie? Networking? But then a thought crept in. A plan. A slow-burning idea that started to bloom as I sat there rereading the invitation. What if I went? What if I didn't just show up, but I brought someone with me? Someone they wouldn't expect. Someone like Sabrina. The same Sabrina who hadn't reached out again since her awkward apology text. The same woman who used to know me better than anyone, and still betrayed me by dating my brother. But what if she didn't know the whole truth? What if I showed her? I hesitated. Would that make me petty? Cruel? Maybe. But after years of being discarded, maybe a little cruelty was the only language they understood. That weekend, I drove to a high-end tailor in Center City. I walked in wearing jeans and boots, and walked out measured for a suit that would silence any doubts. Charcoal gray. Silk-lined. Made to fit like armor. Next, I booked a luxury car rental, a sleek black Audi A8. Flashy. Yes. But necessary for the message I was about to send. And finally, I made a call. I knew Sabrina worked as a financial consultant now, freelancing with mid-sized firms. I also knew her habits hadn't changed much. Same email, same favorite lunch spot. So, I sent her a message. Hey Sabrina. I'm attending a private investment gala next Friday in Philly. Thought you might be interested. I could use your insight and company. Let me know. She replied 5 minutes later. Todd. Wow. That sounds unexpected. Are you serious? Completely, I wrote back. You in? Another pause. Then. Yes. I'd love to. That was it. My foot in the door. But the real twist? I wasn't bringing her as a date. I was bringing her as a witness. To everything they all thought I'd never become. To the man they pretended didn't exist. To the man I became in silence. The night of the gala came fast. I picked her up at the corner of 3rd and Walnut. She stepped out of her apartment looking like she belonged on the cover of a finance magazine, elegant navy dress, sleek black heels, hair pinned just right. When she saw me in the Audi, her eyes widened. "You clean up well," she said, sliding in. "This is not the Todd I remember." I smiled. People change. The gala was everything I expected and more. Crystal chandeliers. Tuxedos. Name tags that read like Wall Street's who's who. But none of it fazed me. Because for once, I wasn't pretending. I belonged here. During the networking session, I introduced myself to a few portfolio managers, casually mentioning my returns. One guy dropped his drink when I told him I'd turned a $12,000 position into $300,000 off a biotech swing trade. Another handed me his card and said, "If you ever want to co-fund a venture, call me." But the highlight? Sabrina. The way she looked at me as the night went on, something shifted. At one point, she pulled me aside. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" she asked, eyes wide, voice quiet. "About all of this?" I sipped my drink. "Would you have cared back then?" She didn't answer. We stood there for a moment, the soft jazz music floating around us like a curtain. And then she said it. "I made a mistake, Todd. With you. With Landon. He's not what I thought." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh." She nodded slowly. "He's shallow. Obsessed with status. He doesn't listen." And after Thanksgiving, I realized he was using me as another bragging point. I didn't say a word. Just let it hang. "You're not the man they think you are," she added. "You never were." And that's when it clicked. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't even about proving anything to her. It was about setting the stage. Because now that she saw the truth, really saw it, it was only a matter of time before the rest of them did too. Especially Landon. And when that moment came, I'd be ready. It's strange how quickly things shift once the truth is out in the open. After the gala, Sabrina and I didn't talk much. She didn't reach out again, not right away, anyway, but that was fine. That wasn't the point. I didn't need her back in my life. I needed her to carry a message. And she did. A week later, my mother called. "Todd," she said, her voice unusually soft. "How are you?" I knew immediately why she was calling. Sabrina had told them. "Tired," I replied flatly. "Plumbing's hard work." She chuckled awkwardly. "I've been meaning to talk to you. We heard you've been doing well." There it was. That thinly veiled curiosity. The greed soaking into her voice like oil in water. "Doing well?" I said. "I guess." "Well, Sabrina mentioned something at dinner. About investments? Stocks. She said you've been quite successful." I stayed silent. "I wish you'd told us," she continued. "You know we'd be proud of you. Your father and I, we had no idea." I wanted to laugh. Proud? Where was that pride when I was 13, fixing the neighbor's sprinkler system to save for school supplies? Where was it when I was 15, and Landon got a new car while I biked to my job at the hardware store? No. This wasn't pride. It was hunger. And I was done feeding it. "I like keeping things quiet," I said. "Saves on fake phone calls." "Todd. Let's cut to it, Mom. What do you want?" Silence. Then, quietly, "Your brother's having a tough time. Work's been slow. He's in a bit of a financial pinch." There it was. The ask. "So," I said, voice cool, he sent you to do the begging? No. He doesn't even know I'm calling. I didn't believe her for a second. But I played along. And what exactly are you hoping for? A loan, she said. Just something small. A boost. So he can catch up on a few things. Small. Right. Landon never asked for small. He only played big when it wasn't his money. I almost hung up. But then I saw it. A path. An opportunity. This wasn't just about telling them no. This was about control. Reversal. Making them feel what I felt, invisible, underestimated, dismissed. So I said, sure. I'll help. But under one condition. She brightened instantly. Anything, sweetheart. I want everyone over to my house. Next Sunday. Family dinner. All of you. Landon too. And no excuses. There was a pause. I don't know if Landon. If he wants my help, he'll be there. I hung up. And smiled for the first time in days. The week flew by. I kept working, kept my routines. But in the background, I prepared. I bought a few extra chairs. Cleaned the house top to bottom. But more importantly, I gathered receipts. Not literal ones. I pulled every investment statement I had. Formatted them cleanly, printed them out. I wanted them to see the truth in ink. Net worth, $3.1 million. Real estate holdings, 4 units across 2 states. Investment returns over the past 5 years, 480%. And a pipeline deal that, if it closed, would push me to nearly $5 million. Then I made one last call. To Sabrina. Sunday night. Family dinner at my place. They'll all be here. She hesitated. You sure? Positive. And I want you to be there. There was a pause. Okay, she said softly. I'll come. Sunday arrived cold and sharp. The kind of Pennsylvania winter chill that cuts through your jacket no matter how thick. I set the table for 6. Roasted chicken, cornbread, mashed potatoes, my mom's favorite butternut squash soup. All homemade. Everything perfect. Then I waited. At exactly 5:42 p.m., the doorbell rang. I opened it to see the whole gallery, my mother, in a beige coat and pearls, my father, stone-faced in his baseball cap, and Landon, in a slim-fit navy suit, eyes already scanning the house like he was casing the joint. Sabrina stood just behind them. We didn't hug. Just nodded. Come in, I said. They entered awkwardly. Landon looked like he was entering a dentist's office, not a home. Nice place, he said. I smiled. I built most of it myself. Dinner began quietly. Conversation stayed light, the weather, politics, some office gossip from Landon. Mom complimented the food. Dad barely spoke. And then, just as dessert hit the table, I cleared my throat. I know why you're here. They froze. I set a manila folder on the table. Slid it toward Landon. He opened it. Brows furrowed. What's this? My portfolio. Every investment. Every dollar. Every property. Everything you've spent your life mocking me for. That's where it got me. He glanced down the list. Eyes widened. This can't be right. It is, I said. Triple-checked. Mom gasped softly. 3 million. I nodded. Then I looked Landon dead in the eyes. You called me a loser. You had me cut from Thanksgiving so you could show off your new girlfriend, the same woman who once saw value in me long before you could buy it. Sabrina's face paled. I forgave you for stealing the spotlight as kids. For watching our parents treat me like a benchwarmer. But this? What you did this year? I shook my head. I'll never forget it. Landon clenched his jaw. So what is this? Revenge? You brought us here to gloat. No, I said. I brought you here so you'd know exactly who you're never going to get another dime from. His mouth dropped. You said you needed help, I continued. Well, now you know I could help. But I won't. Not ever. Sabrina looked down, clearly uncomfortable. And you, I said, turning to her. I don't hate you. But I needed you to see what you missed when you thought I wasn't enough. She nodded slowly. I see it now. Good. That's all I wanted. Dinner's over, I said, standing. There's the door. And for the first time in my life, they had no comeback. They just got up. Quiet. Hollow. And left. The door clicked shut behind them. Silence settled over my living room like snowfall, gentle, but final. I stood there for a long time, just breathing. Not celebrating. Not smiling. Just, standing in the stillness of it all. It didn't feel like victory. Not yet. It felt like the dust was only beginning to settle. Sabrina lingered behind, sitting quietly at the dining table. She hadn't said much during the confrontation, just watched, eyes wide, mouth tense, hands fidgeting with the corner of her napkin. Are you okay? She asked after a long silence. I nodded slowly. Yeah. Just, not used to being the one with the final word. She looked around the room, at the untouched dessert plates, the folder still open with my net worth staring back at the world, and the empty chair where Landon had sat with all his arrogance deflated. I had no idea, she whispered. I know. She looked up at me. Todd, you could have buried them a long time ago. Why now? Because I didn't want revenge, I said. I just wanted peace. But they made that impossible. So now. I'm giving them truth. She didn't say anything. Just nodded. And then, just before she left, she looked me in the eyes and said the words I never expected to hear. I'm proud of you. I closed the door behind her and leaned my head against the wood. It was just the beginning. The next week, Landon started reaching out. First through text. Can we talk? Then a voicemail. Hey man, look, I might have acted out of line, but we're family. This money thing, maybe there's something we can build together. I didn't respond. A few days later, he tried again. This time through Mom. He's really trying, Todd, she said on the phone. He made a mistake, sure. But you've made your point. Isn't it time to move forward? I let her talk. I let her plead. But I was already 2 steps ahead. I'd started reaching out to other people, old friends, people from town who knew me as, just Todd the plumber. A few of them had small businesses and side projects. Others had ideas but no funding. They were all people like me, overlooked, underestimated, working hard in silence. I started investing in them. Quietly. Strategically. Joe, my coworker who stuck by me when I was quiet and withdrawn, got a loan to open his own repair shop. He'd been dreaming of it for years. I gave him the down payment, no strings attached. Ms. Ramirez, the single mother who used to leave me cookies every Christmas after I fixed her pipes. I helped her daughter fund her first semester at college. Each act was like a small hammer chipping away at the version of me my family had always clung to, the small, insignificant one. Word spread. Not about my money. I kept that quiet. But about who I really was. And then came the next surprise. My father showed up at my house. He didn't call first. Just knocked, like it was 30 years ago and he was coming to tell me to rake leaves or take the trash out. I opened the door and there he was, wearing the same old baseball cap, holding a folded piece of paper. "Can I come in?" he asked. I stepped aside. He sat on the edge of the same couch where I'd once stared at a Thanksgiving gift box I never got to deliver. He didn't say anything for a long time. Just sat. Then he handed me the paper. It was a photo. Me, age 10, standing on a ladder, patching a rain gutter. He had taken it. "I forgot about this," he said quietly. "Until I saw that folder on your table. That night. I felt like I didn't know you anymore." I didn't reply. "You know," he continued, "I always thought Landon was the one who'd succeed. He talked big. Wore suits. Said all the right things." I looked at him, waiting for the turn. "But he's hollow, Todd," my dad finally admitted. "You built something. And not just with money. With patience. With grit." I didn't say it before, but I should've. He looked me in the eye. "I'm proud of you." The words hit harder than I expected. I didn't forgive him right then. Not entirely. But something inside me shifted. "Thanks," I said quietly. We didn't hug. We didn't talk much more. But when he left, I noticed something different in his walk. He wasn't just leaving my house. He was leaving a lie he believed in for far too long. And the final piece? Was Landon. Because I knew him. And I knew he wouldn't take all this lying down. Landon didn't go quiet. I knew he wouldn't. He never had the humility to accept when the ground shifted beneath his feet. And now that I wasn't the easy, silent brother anymore, he wasn't just embarrassed, he was angry. It started small. A passive-aggressive jab on social media. Funny how some people think a few lucky stock picks make them geniuses. Then came a coincidental run-in at the local diner. I was having lunch with Joe when Landon walked in with two of his law firm buddies. He made sure to pass by our booth, smirking. "Hey, Todd. Fixing toilets this morning? Or just counting your fortune?" I didn't respond. But Joe leaned in and muttered, "He's unraveling." He was right. 2 days later, I got an email from an investment firm I worked with on a few deals. They'd received an anonymous complaint claiming I was using insider information to make illegal trades. The claim was nonsense. But it made waves. My name was now flagged in a couple of financial circles. It wouldn't hold, but still, it was enough to slow things down. I knew Landon was behind it. He couldn't beat me the right way, so he was trying to smear me instead. I could have confronted him. Instead, I planned. If Landon wanted to play dirty, I'd show him what it felt like when the gloves came off. There's something Landon never realized about me. While he was busy showing off to the world, I was watching. Listening. Remembering. And one thing I never forgot was what he did with his firm's client fund 3 years ago. We were both at a family dinner. He was drunk. Bragging. I shuffled some numbers around, he'd said, grinning. Moved 50 grand from one client to another's investment pool. Who cares? They're all making money, right? I remembered it word for word. He laughed it off. Everyone did. But I didn't. At the time, I thought he was just exaggerating, another of Landon's ego trips. But after everything he'd done, I decided to find out if there was truth behind the brag. So I made a few discreet inquiries. Sabrina helped. After the gala, she had slowly begun distancing herself from Landon. She still had contacts in the financial world. One call led to another. One favor called in. And suddenly, we had what we needed. A copy of a suspicious transaction trail from Landon's firm. Several questionable reallocations. Same client fund. Different recipient. No clear approvals. It was real. He had done it. He'd committed what amounted to white-collar theft. And I had proof. Now, I wasn't vindictive by nature. But I believed in justice. So I did the one thing that made sense. I mailed a copy of the documents, anonymously, to the firm's compliance department. And waited. 2 weeks later, I got the call I knew would come. This time, from Landon himself. He sounded broken. "Did you do it?" he asked, his voice hoarse, quiet. "Do what?" "Don't play stupid, Todd. You reported me. You've ruined me." I didn't deny it. "You did that to yourself, Landon. They're investigating me," he spat. "I could lose everything. My job. My license. My reputation." I sat quietly for a moment, then said, "I lost my family because of you. I lost my dignity. My place at the table. And you thought you'd keep walking over me forever. You don't know what you've done," he snapped. "This was my life." "No," I said. "It was a lie. Built on stolen bricks." He went silent. Then, the final twist of the knife. "You think they'll look at you any different after this?" he hissed. "You're still just a plumber. You'll never be more than that." I smiled. "That's the difference between us," I said. "I never needed to be more. But you? You needed everyone to believe you were something you weren't. Now they'll see the truth." He hung up. Just like that. No apologies. No remorse. But I didn't need either. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming myself. And the final step was coming next. The storm passed quietly. Landon's firm suspended him within days of the investigation opening. A month later, word got out, he was forced to resign. The official memo cited serious ethical concerns under internal review. His reputation shattered. His charm worthless. His carefully constructed life crumbling. And me? I didn't dance in the wreckage. I just watched it burn. Then turned away. A few weeks after Landon's fall, I sat in the same garage where I used to fix old pipe fittings and question my worth. This time, I wasn't gripping a wrench, I was holding a blueprint. Not for a house. Not for a business. For a legacy. With the investments I had quietly made, I decided to open something I'd dreamt about for years, a vocational mentorship program. The Workbench Project. A space where teens and young adults, kids like me, could learn trades, financial literacy, and how to build a future with their own two hands. Plumbers, mechanics, electricians, coders. No pretense. No judgment. Just skill, grit, and self-worth. Joe helped me set it up. Sabrina, who now worked independently, offered to give seminars on money management and investing. It wasn't flashy. But it was mine. And it mattered. One morning, I found an envelope tucked under my door. No return address. No name. Inside was a letter. Todd. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect a response. But I needed to write this. You were always stronger than me. I see that now. You built something real. Something I could never fake my way into. Mom and Dad are still struggling to understand what happened. They're quieter now. They don't ask about you much, but I think it's because they're ashamed. They should be. I know I am. I lost more than a career. I lost the one person I should have respected from the start. I hope one day you'll find peace in knowing you did things the right way. Even if I didn't. Landon. I folded the letter, tucked it into a drawer, and didn't look at it again for a long time. Not because it didn't mean something. But because I didn't need it anymore. The final moment of closure came on a crisp spring afternoon. I was standing outside the Workbench Project, watching a group of teens learn how to wire a light fixture, when I heard a voice behind me. Hey. I turned. It was my mother. She looked older. Tired. Not the same woman who once said my boots didn't fit the vibe. She held out a Tupperware container. Pumpkin pie. I thought you might want a slice, she said. I took it. Nodded. Thanks. I've been thinking about everything, she said, voice trembling. We were wrong, Todd. We chose polish over character. And we forgot the things that matter. I didn't reply. I don't expect things to go back, she continued. But, maybe we could start again. I looked at the kids inside, laughing, working, learning, and then back at her. Maybe, I said quietly. But not at Thanksgiving. She smiled sadly. Fair. She turned to leave. Mom, I said, stopping her. She turned. Tell Dad he was right about one thing, I said. Family should stick together. But only when they remember how to treat each other. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Then walked away. That night, I sat on my porch, the sunset painting the sky in soft golds and reds. Sabrina texted me. That seminar you gave today? You should be proud. I typed back. I am. For the first time, I really am. In the end, truth has a way of surfacing, even if it comes twisted through pain and betrayal. As one wise voice once said, sometimes your greatest enemy was once your closest ally. If this story struck a chord with you, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and spread the word, because justice deserves to be heard.